We begin today's wrestling news and rumors video with a bit of news and rumors regarding something rather unexpected that occurred last night during Friday Night SmackDown. For those of you unaware, Zelina Vega shockingly returned to WWE on SmackDown last night, which definitely caught many wrestling fans completely off guard, with Sonya Deville revealing that the returning Zelina Vega will have a big spot in the upcoming Women's Money in the Bank ladder match later this month. However, while Zelina's return was a pretty big moment, WWE certainly did not book Zelina Vega's return in a way that many fans were pleased with, because Zelina Vega would then go on to face Liv Morgan in a singles match on SmackDown, in which Zelina would lose to Liv Morgan in just 3 minutes, which was pretty dismal and certainly not well received by Zelina's fans. Regardless, Zelina Vega still has a big opportunity at the upcoming Money in the Bank 2021 pay-per-view event, and Zelina seems sure that her destiny is to become the SmackDown Women's Champion sometime this year. Now, according to a new behind-the-scenes report, Zelina Vega is reportedly returning to wrestle again for WWE, and by all means it's good news that Zelina Vega could work out her differences with Vince McMahon and WWE, and essentially get a second chance on better terms with the company. However, the real question that fans have been asking and wondering following Zelina Vega's return on SmackDown last night is what is Aleister Black's status in WWE, because without question it is a bit odd that WWE would bring Zelina Vega back to the company out of the blue after just releasing her husband Aleister Black at the beginning of June 2021. Most fans were not surprisingly furious that WWE released Aleister Black randomly, as Aleister's new gimmick and persona on SmackDown was getting a lot of hype from fans, as being the change of character that would propel Aleister to the top of the card in WWE, or at the very least, Intercontinental title contention after a feud with Big E. With that said, thankfully we have some good news to share regarding Aleister Black's status with WWE following Zelina Vega's return last night on the Blue brand. According to one of our sources, Vince McMahon and WWE are currently trying to negotiate for Aleister Black to return to WWE, with Vince feeling like it was a bit of a mistake to let Aleister go to begin with, and feels Aleister Black deserves a real chance to prove his value to the company, especially now that Zelina Vega is back in the WWE, and has been asking the company to bring her husband back. However, as many of you are likely aware, there is some interest from AEW All Elite Wrestling to potentially sign Aleister Black after his non-compete clause runs up with WWE, so it will be a bit of a tough decision that Aleister is faced with. Does he decide to return to WWE so that he can work alongside his wife Zelina Vega in WWE, but perhaps take a bit of a pay decrease, or start off fresh in another wrestling promotion like AEW, where he would likely be booked much better than WWE? And especially considering WWE had released him, and it would seem a bit hard for Aleister to want to come back when WWE clearly disrespected him by letting him go unceremoniously before even giving him a chance to succeed. If Aleister does return to WWE, however, like some rumors suggest, it would kind of be like the whole Drake Maverick story from last year. And let us know your thoughts on Zelina Vega's return to WWE on Friday Night SmackDown last night, and are you excited for Zelina joining SmackDown's women's division on a full-time basis moving forward? And also, what are your thoughts on WWE apparently wanting for Aleister Black to return soon? Should Aleister consider potentially taking a pay decrease to return to WWE so that he can work with his wife Zelina, or start off on a clean slate in AEW or elsewhere for that matter? Regardless, SmackDown's women's division could certainly use a villain or heel star like Zelina Vega. And do you feel that Zelina Vega should win the 2021 Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, or should it be another women's division star instead who wins that match? Speaking of the women's division on SmackDown and the upcoming Money in the Bank 2021 pay-per-view event, there's no doubt that Liv Morgan, who basically spoiled Zelina Vega's return on SmackDown last night by picking up the win over Zelina, has become a true fan favorite in recent months, with lots of fans rallying behind Liv Morgan so that WWE gives her more opportunities than she has been given up to this point. Clearly, WWE are moving ahead with an underdog storyline for Liv Morgan in SmackDown's women's division, and by all means it's certainly working to a great extent, given fans' reactions to Liv Morgan on social media. After Liv Morgan's win over Zelina Vega on SmackDown last night, Liv Morgan and her fans feel she deserves to be added into the 2021 Women's Money in the Bank ladder match that would secure Liv Morgan that big championship opportunity that so many fans feels Liv deserves. And according to a new backstage report, WWE are planning for Liv Morgan to get added into the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And not only that, perhaps even go on to win the entire match and capture the briefcase, which would truly be a special moment for Liv Morgan and her loyal fanbase. The WWE's booking of Liv Morgan as a beloved underdog is working extremely well. And if WWE do decide for Liv to eventually get added into the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match and win the briefcase, Liv's star power will go through the roof and WWE could very well have their next big women's division star on their hands with Liv Morgan. And without a doubt, Liv does deserve a respectable push in WWE. And hopefully these rumors are true that WWE have some big things planned for Liv Morgan this year in 2021. Let us know your thoughts on the WWE's underdog storyline plans for Liv Morgan that could see her shock fans by winning the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match later this month. And do you feel that Liv deserves this push, or should another women's division star get this push instead? Following his return last week on SmackDown, the Rated R superstar Edge made an appearance last night on the Blue brand to firstly send a big message to the Tribal Chief and current Universal Champion Roman Reigns, with Edge proclaiming that Roman Reigns is basically scared of him, and before SmackDown was over last night, Edge sent a message to Roman Reigns that was about as intimidating as it gets, with Edge absolutely destroying Jimmy Uso, who had called out Edge later on in the show. And despite Edge absolutely dismantling Jimmy Uso, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, was nowhere to be found, and did not come out to rescue his cousin Jimmy Uso. And if a shocking new backstage report is true, Edge's promo to Jimmy Uso before the brawl started, where Edge claimed that Roman Reigns is simply using the Usos, will finally be getting through to not only Jimmy Uso, but Jey as well, following Edge's attack on Jimmy Uso last night. And Roman Reigns will have his hands full with the Usos in the coming weeks on SmackDown. This new rumor states that the Usos could be banding together and betraying Roman Reigns on SmackDown as early as next week, with the Usos sending a message to Roman Reigns that they will not be mistreated or used, and that they need to be respected by Roman Reigns if they are going to fall in line. And while the Usos would eventually fall in line with Roman Reigns, WWE feel having Jimmy and Jey Uso turn on Reigns briefly will add some suspense to Roman Reigns' upcoming Universal title defense against Edge at Money in the Bank 2021. And make it seem uncertain as to whether or not the Usos will be there to help Roman Reigns when he defends his belt against Edge.